Hey, what's going on, ladies and gents? It's Richard Kuo. In this video, I just want to give you a quick rundown of my trip to Portland. It was a really amazing trip with just a lot of personal time. The purpose of my trip was to just get out and have some time to myself to kind of relax. I've been taking care of my dad for the past 6 months, so I haven't really had a lot of personal time to myself. So I went on this trip for 4 nights, 5 days. Mostly with one of my friends from my old job at Sony Pictures when I used to work there. And I just decided to have a personal trip. And like so many amazing things happen, I'm going to break this video down into the scenery around Portland, which is absolutely amazing. Portland, Oregon. Second one is the culture of the city. Third one is the food, the amazing food that I had. And the last part, which I think is very important, is the personal growth experience that I had while at Portland. So being able to fly into Portland from LAX or Los Angeles airport was really amazing. Like just seeing it on an airplane gave me the reminder that I am very privileged to be able to travel and just have the means to travel, because not everyone does. So that was the first thing I appreciated. And as the plane was descending into Portland's airport, I already fell in love with the city. There was just so much green and so many trees everywhere, and I was just really excited to be there and be on this journey. The first day I was there, I was by myself, and I knew I needed some sort of transportation, so I decided to plan ahead and purchase a $30 bike off of someone on Craigslist, which is a site where you could buy cheap things, peer to peer. And so we met up in this park. And not only did I get a cheap bike for $30 to ride for the next few days, but I also happened to go to this park that was having this festival where they gave away free food. I had like a full-on dinner for free. They gave away a bunch of goodies, they're very bike friendly in Portland. So they had free bike lights, like headlights and taillights, which I needed because it was getting dark. So my experience at Portland was really off to a good start, knowing that there's this community feel that, people are willing to give free food to people just for like a community event. So I fell asleep that night, woke up at 5 a.m. randomly, and my host that was hosting me through Airbnb happened to wake up and was coming down the stairs. And I'm like, oh, what are you doing? And she's like, oh, I'm going on a hike. And I'm like, could I join you? And she's like, yeah, sure. So we ended up going hiking to a place called Littoral Falls, which was this really beautiful scenic place, and lots of trees. There's a waterfall. And to me, what was most important was the fact that I got to be out in nature, because it's been so long. I love hiking. It's been so long that I've been away from nature, away from hiking, away from being connected with just the beauty of what the world has to offer for me. So that was a really magical experience for me. I felt very out of body. I felt like I was really connected with what I was doing. So that's what happened. The first morning I was there, and a few hours later, my friend Johnny Lamb, who's a good friend of mine from a few years back, we used to work together at Sony Pictures. He quit his job just like I did to kind of pursue his own dreams, and he's touring and traveling around the United States and also around the world, just leading tours for people who bike. For example, biking from the east coast of the United States all the way to the west coast. So that's just an example. And meeting up with my friend Johnny was really great because he's just so full of great ideas. And we had a lot of great opportunities together. We hiked every single morning with our Airbnb host just by chance. And also our Airbnb host was just really nice. We ended up eating a lot of food. We had breakfast together every single morning. And on the last day we were there, she treated us out to go to this place called Pine State Biscuit, which is a fantastic, amazing biscuit place. And talking about food, we made sure we took advantage of all the amazing food that Portland had. I mean, there's so many popular places. You might have heard of Voodoo Donuts, they're famous for their voodoo doll style donut. And there's another donut place that I highly recommend called Blue Star Donuts. They have this really nice passion fruit donut. There's some other places, like the first real restaurant that my friend Johnny and I visited was called Lardo. They served all pork stuff, but it was just as fatty and unhealthy as it was just really delicious. And I went to some other spots like Salt and Straw, which is a really great ice cream place. We got some Thai food at Nong's Kamangai, and Pok Pok, which was a little bit overpriced for my flavor. And so that's just the food. I mean, Portland in itself was so amazing. Everyone in Portland is very friendly. They're very eco-conscious. They have a huge biking community, a lot of roads, and actually my friend Johnny and I ended up biking from Portland, Oregon to Vancouver, Washington, which is the next state up. And it's really cool because Portland or Oregon and Washington states are both separated by a gorge or like a river, the Columbia River. And it was really cool to bike about 35 miles round trip through from Portland, Oregon, all the way up to Vancouver, Washington on one bridge, and shoot out on another bridge and just explore. And this kind of ties into one of my personal growth opportunities. And so I haven't biked in a long time. And in this trip, I decided to just keep biking and biking and biking. And I actually biked to the point where I got really exhausted, to the point where my legs just kind of gave up and they started cramping, and I couldn't bike anymore, to the point where I had to walk my bike. And with that, it was just a really cool experience for myself to reflect upon and notice, hey, wow, if I have a goal to complete this whole ride and ride all the way back to my house, I'm going to keep pushing myself. And sometimes I end up when I feel uncomfortable in regular life situations, like running a business or learning a skill, and I'm pressed up against the wall. I'm like, I don't feel like working a little bit extra hard. This biking trip was a reminder to me that I can actually put more in than I think I can. All right, so other things very notable about Portland. Portland, besides the amazing just weather and culture, it's a very beautiful, clean city. If you go into the downtown place, like, it's very clean. The streets are just meticulous. They're just beautiful. Not a lot of trash floating around. Very well maintained. The public transportation system is amazing. And other things I learned while in Portland. So a big thing is, I went to Portland to kind of have this personal escape for myself, to relax. And what I realized is, while I was in Portland, that we can't run away from our problems. Our problems are always going to be there. So, there's a lot of stresses about like my career, as well as, just taking care of my dad while I was in Portland. And I try to let that all go, which for the most part I did. But what I realized is, running away from our problems doesn't solve them. Like, we still have to face our problems if we want to get over them. The only way to get over our problems is working through them. So that was a really big takeaway for me on this trip to Portland. Just taking time off to myself was really important for me to just reflect on the world, and just reflect on different perspectives of how I see the world. Like, just being able to meet new people from Portland gave me a much different perspective of how life can be, because sometimes we're so stuck in our own little bubble. Like, we're so stuck in this lifestyle that we already have, and like, going to work or going to school, or just doing the same routine thing every single day. So being able to switch up my routine for just 5 days was really, I guess in a way, it was eye-opening. And it was just really nice to see that my life doesn't have to look like it's looked for the past few years, because oftentimes when we get complacent, we just feel like this is our life. But it doesn't have to be. You could always switch it up. For example, I met a new friend of mine called his name is Yoon, and he travels around and lives in a van by choice, not because he can't afford a home, but he does it by choice, to have the flexibility and freedom to just travel around. So that really opened up my eyes to, hey, my life doesn't have to be in this set way. Some other learnings that I had on this Portland trip was that our world is really beautiful. Like, there's so much to see, and I only visited one city, but just within this one city, it was such a, even though it was still in the United States, it was such a drastic change. And I almost can't believe that Portland could be such a different city compared to Los Angeles or Orange County. It was just small things like Portland as a city just seems so well connected. Like people care about each other. Whether or not they actually do, I'm not sure, but I got the feeling that, people are just really friendly and they're very courteous. Like if I'm walking across the street, like a car will stop for me versus in LA, if you walking from the street, a car is going to try to pass you before you get to them. So just like little small things that made me realize that there are, I guess, one, there are good people in the world, and two, I think a part of Portland kind of rubbed off on me when I came back to LA. For example, I noticed they don't like to waste plastic or use styrofoam or anything like that. So I found myself when I came back not wanting to use plastic bottles anymore, or at least reducing the amount that I use and just reusing the same water bottle that I have. Portland was just a really amazing experience. I definitely encourage you, if you haven't traveled in a while, especially by yourself, find some opportunities, and whatever opportunities you have, just go for it and try it out, because sometimes it's difficult. Sometimes we just need to create opportunities for ourselves, because they don't always just come automatically. That's what I have. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll have a lot of pretty good content coming soon. I had some questions asked. I will talk to you soon and catch you on the flip side. Take care. Love you all.